Hey, I'm Marcus Lippincott. This is my informative speech on nightmares, and I just want to present some information out to y'all. So, introduction, nightmares. Pretty much everyone has them, whether they were a child or still have them as an adult frequently. We all experience them and have probably had some pretty bad ones, but we really don't know a lot about them, do we? For the most part. Previous information or background information is I've always been intrigued by nightmares and night terrors. I've done a couple group projects on them in like high school, in college. I think I spoke about them like over 10 years ago. And I've always been intrigued, and I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to just re-familiarize myself with the topic and learn a couple new things just to present to everybody. And then thesis, nightmares always plagued with mysteriousness. We usually don't really think they come with a cause or an effect or anything. They just kind of happen or don't happen. But there's a lot of information about them, like there are a lot of causes and stressors that can affect your like nightly habits and if whether or not you have nightmares. So nightmares and dreaming. In the beginning, when you're a child, you start to get vivid nightmares around toddler age, so like 2 or 3. Cognitive functions start to increase. They start to have a vivid imagination, and that can just increase this activity at night and just cause horrifying nightmares for them that they've never experienced before and don't really have a coping mechanism for. Detail 2. Nightmares evolve as you get older. A lot of people don't really have them as much past like their teenage years as they did, like when they were a lot younger. But some people are plagued with them throughout their whole life, whether it's like traumatic events, stressors, and other things. Yeah. Nightmares could also have some benefits. They can provide conflict resolution for some people. This isn't always the case because it's kind of difficult, whether it's like lucid dreaming or being able to kind of recognize something as a nightmare and being able to kind of resolve an issue eternally. But there's usually some kind of issue there, and your brain's trying to figure that way out. And that's usually how nightmares work for the most part. And aside from all these nightmares and stuff, like I said, there's many causes that can affect them, whether physical or mental or like trauma and such. So this leads into some of the causes of nightmares. So trauma is a big one, whether it's someone with like post-traumatic stress disorder or they have some kind of other kind of trauma, whether it was like childhood or even stuff they're dealing with right now, like an assault or something. That can have big effects on the mind and can definitely like throw your brain for a loop towards the end of the night. Some physical factors are also important. So like drinking a lot of caffeine or sugary stuff before bed can give you some weird dreams and potentially cause nightmares. Alcohol, caffeine, and other drugs can also have effects on your brain to where, especially towards the end of the night, it can either straight up create nightmares or maybe even just skip that REM sleep that's super important for your recovery. And like I said as well, stressors can also disrupt your sleep. So like day to day, everyone kind of has their own stressors, whether it's like life, work, family, and such. And that is definitely a big factor on it, as well as mental health issues can also be a big factor. So along with all these causes of nightmares that are pretty much common for most people, there's also some treatments that have been done in the past and currently that have helped children and adults kind of cope with that, like nightmarish events. So some of the treatments for nightmares, treatment for children have included like self-calming strategies and sometimes making a game out of like going into their room at night, maybe checking like closets and stuff under their bed. If you have some positive reinforcement behind this and shed a positive light, they won't be as fearful as the dark and just the unknown in general, especially when they're out like alone in their own bed without you. Sometimes some kids are not used to dealing with that sort of, I wouldn't say abandonment, but just like lonesomeness. Some advanced studies have also included lucid dreaming. So lucid dreaming is like being able to recognize a dream as a dream instead of it being real, and then being able to manipulate that kind of environment mentally. And some of the positive effects of lucid dreaming have included like conflict resolution, being able to lucid dream more frequently, obviously, but as well as just combat those conflicts in your brain and potentially decrease the frequency of nightmares or night terrors and stuff. Other treatments that we've seen recently is CBTN usage to assist veterans with whether it's PTSD or other traumatic just events that are reoccurring in their head, and sometimes they have to battle those like every night. And we've seen CBT positively affect other treatments like arthritis and anxiety, whether it's in animals or just full-grown people like adults, humans. We've seen positive effects with that. So there have been very small amounts of like increase or decreases in nightmarish events, but the study's a lot more new, and it's something that's new to me. I didn't know that before researching this. And then aside from all these treatments and stuff, this kind of leads into my conclusion. So these are my original, so these thoughts. We always thought that, like in the beginning of this speech, a lot of us, at least I especially, always thought nightmares were random. They didn't really have a lot of causes or effects until I put some research into it. Now we have a little bit more information on them, and now we can kind of see like, hey, there's a correlation between like what we do in the waking hour or what's happened and how that affects us at night. They're not completely random. A lot of things influence them, and sometimes they're things we can't even really change, because you can't really change that you have life stressors, but sometimes those nightmares can help you resolve those if you're able to. And then I feel a lot more informed. I've learned some new things, especially on the nightmare treatment side. What we've been doing with newer studies in the past 10 years with like CBTN and other forms of just lucid dreaming to help people with PTSD. So this has been some revelations for me. I hope I've informed y'all as well. And yeah, I appreciate you listening. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and thank you for watching.